Hi, hey, hello, how y'all doing? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry I'm a little later than I'd like to be on making this video, but it is what it is. Life gets in the way. Regardless, today we're making another video. This one's going to be another update on the Casull project. Now, before we get into it, let me go ahead and, for those of you that are new to this, let me introduce myself and what's going on. My name is Gunny Valentine, and I'm currently in the process of trying to make a real-life version of the Casull handgun from the anime series Hellsing, or Hellsing Ultimate, whichever one you want to look at, doesn't really matter. But I'm trying to make a real-life version of it. And so far, I'm in the modeling phase, working towards the prototyping phase, and this video is an update on the newest iteration of the model that I've come up with so far. Usually, in the last video, I told people that I wanted to sort of make enough changes to warrant making an update, and I feel like I've reached that point. I've made some pretty substantial changes, so that's what this video is about. So without further ado, I'm going to present to you all the newest iteration of the Casull handgun project. So let's jump into it, and let me show you all what I've done since the last video. So let's get into it. Alright, now we're in Fusion, and I'm going to go ahead and showcase for you all what I've done. We're going to go through all the changes that I've made. Most of the ones have been fairly minor, but there's been a couple substantial ones, specifically with the locking mechanism for the slide, that I think warrants making this video. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and showcase. This is what I have so far, the new version of the Casull. This is what we got so far. And I think it looks pretty good. I'll flash a picture on the screen showing the model on the show and what it looks like, and just from different angles and stuff. And I think that I've done a pretty good job about catching the essence of the gun. I'll also flash a picture showing the old version and just doing some side-by-side comparisons of them. But I think that the minor changes I made have definitely made it look a lot better. So we're going to go from top to bottom. Outside, I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge no changes to the slide have been made on the outside. It's all completely the same. I am debating making a possible change in the future with widening the slide about maybe somewhere between 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch on the outside to give me some more meat on the inside to work with. But that's not been decided yet. So I'm not, that's not set in stone. But we'll go ahead and showcase another thing on the outside. The other substantial change I made being the changing of the grip contour. If you look at the original one that I made, it was a lot straighter and just more 1911-ish. It was also wider, and after holding in my hand, I was like, this is way too wide. This isn't comfortable to hold, so I've slimmed it down about as much as I could get it, while also adding more contour to it. So you can see it's not super obvious, but it's pretty subtle, but I've made more of a curvier look here, kind of more like how a Beretta M9 feels. It's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better, and it's also like holding them side by side, because I have got another 3D version, which I will show you near the end. Compared to the original, it's a good bit thinner, and for the better, for making it a lot easier to hold with one hand especially. So I've also changed the bolt release, or the mag release, sorry. The mag release is, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's a straight up rip-off of a Beretta's mag release. Now, I did this for two reasons. One, because it works, and it's very simple, and it's all sort of this self-contained thing, and I think it looks a little bit nicer. It's not 100% accurate to the one on the show, but I think that the change is definitely justified. It makes it a lot better. But the second reason, which is more important, is for future-proofing. And by that, I mean that once I build this thing, and I'm assuming my next project is probably going to be the sister gun to this, which will be the Jackal, but they're both meant to be fired together. This one right-handed, the other one left. It makes sense that the mag release would be on the left side, the right side. And if you know anything about the Berettas, you can actually take these out and flip them over and make it to where it releases on the right side. So it's a pretty neat actual mechanical thing. I actually have it drawn up here, but this is kind of what it looks like taken out of the gun. So these two little I don't know what you would call these. These two little pegs here, I guess, have a spring that goes in between these two holes, and that's what gives it tension. So when you push on the button here, this is stationary. This is stationary. This one moves. As it pushes in, it gives it its tension. You can take it and flip it over because it's symmetrical, at least this way. And you can flip it over, and you can use it like this. There we go. That'd be on the right side. So that would be, and it's the exact same as if it's on this side. because that's compressed and it's in the middle. It's offset, but that's just because there's spring tension when it's put in the gun. But regardless, that would work. So that's why I did it. I think it just makes it a lot easier on my end, because I want to share as many parts as I can between the two when I go to build it. So that's pretty much it for the outside. I've changed the grips, of course, to make them a little bit sleeker to fit with the new profile. Doesn't wind it up super much or super big, but it does. It looks a little bit better. So that's that for the outside of the gun. Mainly the meat and potatoes of this thing in terms of changes are all internal changes. So I'll go ahead and showcase that. We'll start with the barrel. The barrel is probably the most dramatic change I've made to the gun, because I've actually changed the system twice. So this is the barrel, stripped down to its bare essentials. And I actually had a different version of this. So when I showed you all that first version of the barrel, it was very much, it was a Beretta M9 sort of style lockup, where it had that cantilever arm on the bottom that would move up and down slightly to lock in a set of teeth into the slide. And the problem with that was there's not enough meat on the inside of the slide here to justify or be able to make that work, and I don't think I'm not super comfortable with using that because I don't think it would withstand the pressures. So I changed it to what was considered like a flapper, sort of. Let me actually pull it up here real quick. Hold on, This is the second version of the barrel. This is, I've already scrapped this idea, but this was the second version I made, and as you can see, it had a set of flappers on the inside that had kind of like almost like a roller delay mechanism, and it was kind of like a roller delayed / flapper hybrid, which probably been done before. It's not, I don't think it's that cool of a design, but I mean it's a cool design, but not for this. I think it would work better in a rifle, scaled up and changed the proportions and all that. But the problem was these teeth. I designed it and I made it backwards, because when this thing would go to lock in, these teeth could not clear the mating surface because the corners were just bumping, so it wouldn't have physically worked. So I'd have to make it backwards, and if it was backwards, I don't think that the amount of pressure and how thin this metal is here, because like, if you feel like how thin this is, it's probably gonna, it's only 50 thousandths thick, and I'm pretty paranoid that it would not, it over time would see a pretty substantial amount of wear, because this can be moving back and forth. So I scrapped this idea and went with the newest version, which is the third version, and I'm a lot more confident with this one. It has these big, long, like 1 inch long set of locking lugs that fit under the barrel here. And this piece right here is your, I don't know what to call it. I just call it, like, I literally have it labeled as a barrel locking flapper detent. I don't know how I came up with that name, but that's what I came up with. And this piece serves to unlock the locking lugs when the gun is fired. So, best way to explain it from looking at it here is you have your gun locked, right? Boom. Hammer strikes, firing pin. Bullet goes out of the barrel. Recoil forces the barrel back. It pushes back on this hole here, which is this right here is exactly where your mag release or your slide release goes through, and that pin works also as a stopping point, as a fixed point for the back of this detent to go. And when that detent, when it tries to move, this is going to slide over the stationary detent. These set of ramps are going to push up on either side of these two set of flaps, pushing them up, unlocking them from the gun. By that point, it's safe to eject, and the slide's going to travel over and continue to. These are always under constant spring tension, by the way. I have a spring that I've modeled here. It's not set in stone, but it's going to be spring tension holding it down and constantly locked in. So, gun fires, it does all that. This unlocks, allows the slide to slide over the barrel, moving back, ejecting the case, going all the way back, catching a new round as it comes forward, pulling it out of the magazine, slide in, locking in, bada bing, bada boom, done. So that is how the reload works on this gun. So that's what I've came up with. I feel like this will probably be strong enough to hold the pressure a lot better than that older design. So that's what I've came up with so far. So that is probably the most substantial change has been the barrel. So going to the slide to showcase, this is the slide now that it's got all the stuff. And now that I've seen it, it just looks a lot cleaner, a lot more like a finished product compared to the old one. There's a lot of stuff that wasn't making contact. I had to make some changes, like there was a slot up here. You can't really see it. I can take the barrel off here just to show you. This slot here, I didn't have it cut far enough back on this side. I had it cut far enough back on this side, but but not far enough back here, so the barrel couldn't even move it all the way up back physically to get far enough to chamber a new round. But I've got that fixed. I've changed the limited dimensions. I gave it some more room. The barrel now slides nice and smooth in here. Have no problems with putting the thing together. Got my finished version of the coil spring guide rod. Got that drawn up, and I think it looks pretty good. Had to take a little bit of material off the bottom of here because the magazine couldn't physically clear the magazine if it was loaded with a mag, because I didn't think about that. It was just a stupid oversight by me, but I fixed it since then, and now it can clear. If we also look here, I've also increased the size and thickness of the extractor, which I haven't actually modeled yet and put into the model, but or on the actual printed one yet. But that's generally what it's going to look like. So I have it sort of contained in here, and as well as the let me turn the thing back on. So yeah, there it is. I think it looks a lot better. And then got your firing pin back here. That's been not been. I ain't changed any of that at all. So yeah, that's all the major changes to the inside. Let's see. Now we go into the frame. All right, now we got the frame or the slide and stuff taken off. Now we're just kind of looking at bare frame here. I've made a few changes. I've shortened up these ears on the front a little bit to make it to where you can drop the slide straight down on, fully assembled, and slide it back and lock it in using this pin from the slide release, which is kind of what holds the whole thing together. I don't have, other than friction holding it together, I don't really have anything drawn up yet to keep it secured. I was thinking eventually about making this be a captured pin, which I think would be a pretty cool concept, actually, having a captured pin hold this whole thing together. But I'm not at that point yet. So, and plus I have plenty of space to do something like that right here, so I could probably put a couple holes here with a couple of detents that hold it in, and I might do that down the road, but that's not 100%. I don't need that at this point. I don't really need to worry about that. The trigger's completely untouched. I've not really done anything other than changing a couple of tolerances to make sure that the grip wasn't taking too much material off. So now it fits. Again, it's completely unchanged in terms of mechanical function from the other version, so it is the same. Oh, also, sorry. Also, I extended the grip out a little bit more. The grip is a little bit longer. It's about ½ inch longer, and after feeling it, definitely a lot better. It's about the right length. And lastly, I will showcase the magazine. So this is the magazine now. I've actually updated some stuff. I looked at pictures of it. There's not really a whole lot of scenes in the show that show the magazine. They'll close the one that does probably the most attention to it, which it's not 100% accurate. There's like this little bump on here, and as I got modeled, it's all one single piece instead of being like a bent sheet metal with a slotted in thing down here. But that's something I can worry about later. The magazine's its own entity, so it can be worked on outside of the gun. And it's had some holes in here. Didn't exactly say what for. It didn't seem like they were any sort of round count holes because they looked the same on both sides. It was just purely, I think, decorative. I don't know. I did have a 454 Casull on the bottom of the mag, which I saw that, and I put that on, so I think it looks pretty good having that on there. I put some slots. It's like an it's like an M9, so the slots are on both sides. Sadly, I don't think if I make the Jackal, I don't think I can use the same magazine because for what I want to do with it, the bolts can be a little bit bigger, but that's something for way down the road. Other than that, just changing the contour, making sure everything fit right, making sure that the follower is going to go. Here's where your notch goes into your receiver here, or your frame, sorry, for the mag release, or the bolt release, sorry. Slide release, God, words. And I got that fixed now, a little bigger, a little bit just more, not a weird shape like the last one. But yeah, so that's all the changes I've made, at least in the physical model. I've already started working on a couple smaller changes, but that's nothing to warrant me talking about right now, just quality of life stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and show now the actual 3D printed version, which I think you all are going to be pretty excited about because I think it looks fantastic in the real world. So let's go ahead and jump over to IRL me and showcase what I've got so far when I'm holding my hands here. So let's take a look. Hi everybody, welcome back to the real world me. This is the best I can do at the moment. I'm just kind of using my freaking bed here as a background. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead and showcase to you now the version I've got in the real world. So as you've seen in this was the last one we had. This was the first one, which, I mean, can't go slide no further back than that, but it's a cool proof of concept to see how it fit in my hand. Maybe realize like I need to definitely make the grip a little, longer, and also a little thinner if I can, because it's just kind of hard. Because I'm 6'2", I got decent sized hands, but this is just a little too big for me to hold practically. Slide's a good size, so I did nail that down. I changed entirely, getting rid of this stupid takedown assembly, so that's gone. So this was the original version. So we moved on to, this was the one that had that sort of trashed barrel lockup assembly. It broke on me on glue. It's too much trouble trying to glue it back together, but this was the version I had, and as you can tell, a little better. Go ahead and take it off here and show you, because it's just falling apart. But this is that lockup assembly I was telling you about. As you can see, it kind of works. I mean, if you push that in, those should pop out, but it wasn't going to physically clear inside. I could probably go ahead and showcase to you how it wasn't going to work. But, so like, see, those ears where it's going to grab, it can't physically. Now, if you took it out of the gun and did it outside, I'm trying to do this here. See, it's locked up. Problem is, even if you were able to push this in against this, it's not going to unlock that. Like, see, watch me. You're kind of locked, and once you're locked, it's not unlocking, which definitely safe for shooting, but it's going to shoot one time, so that's kind of pointless. I'd have to turn that around, like I said, and I don't think that it's going to withstand that pressure of holding that closed, so I kind of scratched that. Again, slide's pretty much unchanged, but as you can see on this one too, let me end popping this out. That right there, I started trying to Dremel it away. I needed to cut that in. I didn't have that, so it couldn't open all the way even if I wanted to. But, it is what it is. You learn from your mistakes. Plus, plastic's like $12 a roll, so I can afford to buy extra rolls. So that ended up going the way of the dodo. So now, we're left with what is considered arguably the best version. This is the third version, the one I just showed you all in the video, and I will say, so much better. So much better. That grip, especially, like compared to the two, let me see if I can overlay them here for you. You can see that's the triggers are lined up on the front, which look how much less material I have to work with there. It's easier to grab around. I've also changed the contour of the front here. More rounded. Took off all this extra meat didn't need. Took off all that extra back here didn't need. Just a lot easier to grab onto. And, coolest thing, this thing actually functions. So, going all the way back. And then when it goes home, you can see there's a set of ears right there. When this clicks in all the way, they lock in. Probably not the best idea having that open, but I'll worry about that later if that becomes an issue. But that's what it looks like, and that's how it functions. And then to take it apart, you just pop out your release, slide it a little forward, and the whole thing comes off, and it's all this nice little neat self-contained package. I'm using a bunch of just springs. I bought this spring kit from Harbor Freight, just loose springs, and I've kind of like rolled all these springs together, so it functions, but it's not it's not going to have enough weight to push it back, but just for demonstration purposes, I'm showing you that it works. So then when you take it out, just pop that whole thing out, drop your slide, and I actually changed the spring. I just took some spring wire and cut some slots in and glued it in and bent it, but this shows the, I'm using a drill bit to hold that in for that screw, because I couldn't print a screw, but those are spring loaded, so they constantly keep weight, pulling the lugs down, so it'll always be in a state of being locked. So this ramp here only serves, as you can see there in the demonstration, As you can see, it serves as a unlocking mechanism. These are plastic. There's a lot of play in it. That's why I kind of have to, when I unlock it manually, I have to kind of push up on the bottom of the frame here to give it a little bit of flex to push this a little higher, because it's not, the tolerances aren't tightest. If that was metal, that wouldn't be flexing like that. So this ramp would do a better job of just pulling the whole thing up out of the way and clearing. But that's what we got. That's the barrel. The barrel locking mechanism is fully, done. And let me go ahead and show you that again. So here's your locking assembly. See, that goes in there. And when the gun fires, boom. Actually, let me just put the whole thing together in the slide just to showcase. So put this slide in there. See, that's your locking ears, so it's not going to move. It only moves. Let me put the spring back in. So, there we go. Alright, focus camera. There we go, thank you. So, there's the spring back in. So, yeah, so whenever the gun, fires, take this right here, put it in there just to hold. The recoil pushes back. Oh, shoot. It's hard to do this, with one hand without it in the frame to show to you all how it works, but I'm going to try my best here. This doesn't have to, I'll just hold it like that. So, gun fires, boom, recoil goes back, it pushes the slide back, this unlocks those locks, pushing the whole assembly forward. As you can see, boom, it hits it's fully open, and then it ends up catching the new round, grabbing in, locking back, and then once it goes back to the distance, boom, full length, locks back in, ears catch on the locking lugs, and the thing will not unlock. Like, it's like I'm trying to push that, and it's not wanting to unlock on me. So I think that might hold. I mean, like I said, when I do the first test fire of the real version, I'm going to obviously stand behind a wall or something and use a string to pull it and get it to fire. But I think the proof of concept on this is the right one. I think it works pretty well. It's going to be pretty thin metal here. This is why I was talking about beefing it up a little bit, was to compensate for that, how thin that is, and I can maybe make the ears a little wider to have a little bit more extra grip on those. That's why, because it's holding, but it's one of those things that might be playing it safe. It might shear them right off. I don't know. But that's something I'll figure out when I go to test fire it. So, but that's pretty much all I have to show you. I think it's definitely really close to time to prototype, which is probably going to be the next thing I'm going to start doing. And I'm at the point where I don't have much... Oh, and the magazine, sorry. Here's the mag. Forgot to show this. I'm having to sand stuff off. It's supposed to drop freely, but it's not. So I can jam it through. Mag release locks in. I don't have the spring stuff in there yet, but it does lock to those notches, so it holds it in place. But so that's what I got. I'm approaching the point where I'm actually ready to start machining the real one, but I just don't have access to setting up my CNC machine to start working on it yet. It's sitting in a crate in the barn. I don't have a way of machining it yet, so I'm trying to work around, setting up a place to set my machine up to start working on it myself. I could try and find a shop to start making the parts for me, but I feel like that's going to be a lot of pain in the butt, and it's going to take a long time to wait, and I don't think they're going to do it the way I want it to do it. So until that point, I'm going to start, making more. I'm going to keep making more videos. I'm going to just shooting some of my guns and other stuff like that. But yeah, so that's what we have. I think it looks pretty good. I think it's definitely made it a long way. I think we're closing in on the real deal, prototyping it. But, yeah, so that's what I got. And if y'all want to, stay up to date, follow along. I'm going to be posting updates on this thing, like I said, but we're at the point now where it's going to be really sparse between updates. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed it. See you all in the next one. See ya.